Hello learners! Welcome to our another class discussion for today. Are you ready to learn new set of information? If you are ready, let's go. Just like from the previous discussions, we are going to talk about the different topics under the subject anthropology. Again, I am your teacher Rica de Guzman and welcome to my class. Good day everyone! Do you feel better today? Okay, that's nice to hear from all of you. So, I think you are all ready for today's discussion. Alright, so before we start our lecture for this day, can someone lead the prayer? Always remember class to ask for His guidance to bless us in understanding our lessons and for our safety. Anyone? Okay, Archie. Just unmute your mic. Amen. Thank you so much, Archie. To determine who are the absent for today, can I ask our class president to collect all of the names of those who are not here today and their reasons? Then just send it to me privately. Thank you so much. Now, before moving on to our activities, just turn in your homeworks in the assignment tab, and I expect that everyone did their homeworks up to their best. Is that okay, class? Okay. So before we proceed to our next discussion or our main topic, we need to review because reviewing is a must. Last discussion, we tackled about the origins of food production and settled life. And as a review, let's have an activity called Post a Tweet. Since class, you are all familiar on Twitter, you need to make a tweet regarding one possible cause why food production has been developed. Remember to use a catchy hashtag. I will give you 5 minutes to complete this activity. Okay? After the 5 minutes, you need to post all your tweets and send me a screenshot of it in the comment tab. So the purpose of this activity is to enhance your memory. It will help you to retain all the information or some of the information that you've learned from the previous discussion. As you can see on the screen, you have another activity which is multiple choice. You need to motivate yourself to study more. So before we go to the main topic, we will do a motivation regarding or relating to our main topic today. Are you ready? So here is the game mechanics of the activity class. You need to prepare a bond paper and you will write all your answers there. Then I will present 5 different questions with choices. After that, you only have 30 seconds to answer each item. Then, after answering all the questions, you need to take a picture of your answers and you need to send it to me privately in our MS Teams. Understood? Number 1 question. It is a wedge-shaped writing invented by the Sumerians around 3000 BC. A. Hieroglyphics. B. Cuneiform. C. Picture writing. D. Stylus. Number 2 question. Blank were written on rows woven from papyrus reeds from which our word paper derives. A. Hieroglyphics. B. Cuneiform. C. Picture writing. D. Stylus. Number 3 question. The blank is an autonomous political unit with centralized decision-making over many communities with power to govern by force, example, to collect taxes, draft people for work and war, and make and enforce laws. A. Nation. B. Government. C. State. D. Leaders. Second to the last question. The word civilization came from the blank word. A. Greek. B. Latin. C. French. D. Portuguese. The last question is, A person who studies human history and prehistory through the excavation of sites and the analysis of artifacts and other physical remains. A. Historian. B. Archaeologists. C. Geographers. D. Scientists. Okay, class, take a picture of your answers now and send it to me privately. Now, class, these are just some of the terms that you need to remember and understand for today's discussion. First one is the civilization, an urban society from the Latin word for city-state. Then state, an autonomous political unit with centralized decision-making over many communities with power to govern by force. For example, to collect taxes, draft people for work and war, and make and enforce laws. Lastly, development. It means the state of being developed. If you notice, the word civilization and state is included in your previous activity. Therefore, you already have an idea on what is your score or what is the correct answer. Finally, we are now going to discuss our main topic for today's class, the origin of cities and states under the chapter 11. But before we start discussing things, I want to tell you what are the learning outcomes or what are the objectives that you need to attain today. First, you need to discuss the rise of cities and states in southern Iraq, Mesoamerica, and other areas of the world. Second, reflect the ideas that they have learned and connect it on the present time. Lastly, you need to demonstrate understanding to others regarding the origin of cities and states. I hope by the end of this chapter or this lesson, you will attain all those objectives mentioned. As you can see, we will talk about all of these subtopics under the origins of cities and states. First, archaeological inferences about civilization, then cities and states in southern Iraq, next, cities and states in Mesoamerica, lastly, the first cities and states in other areas. Okay, now we will proceed to our discussion. You need to listen carefully, okay? Okay, class, we are now going to start our discussion. Listen carefully. It was about 6000 BC when agriculture first developed and the people in the Near East existed in small villages. Then, there were only minimal differences in case of their wealth and status in every household. Moreover, there is no evidence of governmental authority, public buildings, and craft specialists. Hence, no communities fits to the description of the word civilization. However, around 6000 BC in Near East also, the start of changes in communities began. There are evidences of status when it comes to households. Some are small, some are big. There are signs also of start of specializing crops and political officials also known as chiefdoms. Then, around 3500 BC, communities are starting to be known as civilization because they are having developments that fit in the characteristics of considering a village as a community. They even had a state. Do you understand, class? Okay. Now, our main topic is to discuss the findings and assumptions of archaeologists about the developments of civilizations. It will focus on Near East and Mexico because archaeologists know a lot of details regarding these areas. The archaeological inferences about civilization. We will talk first about the archaeological inferences about civilization. So, class, it is known that the communities in the earliest Neolithic area were called egalitarian, meaning people doesn't have significant difference when it comes to household size, power, and wealth. Then, later on, they found out that there are signs of social inequalities. How? Those who are buried with objects, accessories, and pots with many foods means they have the wealth and power when they were alive. Moreover, they also discovered that some burial tombs of children as early as 5500 BC to 5000 BC at Tel Essawan in Iraq and from about 800 BC at La Venta in Mexico has statues and ornaments, meaning they have high status from birth. However, it doesn't mean that they have distinction in their tombs. They had significant gaps in wealth. Thus, if archaeologists uncover evidences of other important differences like sizes of house and furnishings, for sure, the society back then had socio-economic classes of people. An example of a tomb with different materials. Okay, can everyone follow the discussion? Does anyone have a question? Okay, I guess no one. We will now continue. There are archaeologists who think that around 3500 BC, that is when the time the first state evolved in Greater Mesopotamia class. They do not agree on how a state should be identified, but it should have hierarchy and central decision-making body that affects most of the population. However, let's always remember that there are different characteristics when we label a society as a state. That is why archaeologists are still doing their best to find evidences from the past life. Let's proceed. So class, these are some of the terms that you need to remember. First one is commodity ceiling. It is used to keep a shipment of goods tightly closed until it reached its last stop. Then, message ceilings were used to keep track of goods sent and received. And then, clay containers that serve as bills of lading for goods received. Hence, these discoveries recommend that Susa is the one that registered the regional movement of goods. Do you understand, class? Okay. Cities and states in southern Iraq. Now, class, we will talk about the cities and states in southern Iraq. It was found out that there are no evidences of farming in lowland plains of southern Iraq. This area is known as Sumer. Sumer is known as the area wherein cities and states were developed. But later on, they've learned how to drain and irrigate river valley soils. So there are two eras in this area, the formative era and Sumerian civilization. Of course, we will talk first about the formative era. Do you have any idea, class? If you have any idea, just say it on the comment section. Listen carefully, class. So this era is about 5000 BC to 3500 BC. It is called formative era by Elman Service. Why? He saw many advancements at this period. There were developments of small irrigations and lowland rivers started on attracting settlers. Hence, rivers were beneficial because it supplied the irrigation, the presence of mollusks, fish, and water birds. Moreover, it became a route to import raw materials like hardwood and stone. Therefore, many advancements happened this period, like various villages became expert in the manufacturing of goods. Temples were built to serve as center of politics or religious authority. Hence, chiefdoms were also present at this period. Lastly, those who are wealthy have statues and ornaments in their tombs. Another image from formative era. Understood, class? Okay. So, the next one is Sumerian civilization. So, around 3500 BC, there were many cities in the area of Sumer. Those cities were surrounded of agricultural zone and a fortress wall. It was also that time when Sumer had unity and they are controlled by a single government. Thus, Sumer became an empire. Obviously, it has a lot of great urban centers and temples. For example, in the city of Warka, there's a temple mound that is about 150 feet high. Moreover, this empire has system for the administration of justice, codified laws, government officials, an army, and sewer system. In addition, they also specialize crafts like pottery, carpentry, brick making, jewelry making, metallurgy, leatherworking, basket making, stone cutting, and sculpture. Wow, no? That's a lot. Hence, they learn to build and use wheeled wagons, sailboats, chariots, spears, swords, and bronze. Because of the development of this era, a system of social classes was implemented. There are nobles, priests, merchants, craft workers, metallurgists, bureaucrats, soldiers, farmers, free citizens, and slaves. The slaves are ordinary people in Sumer. Fortunately, the archaeologists also saw evidence of writing around 3000 BC. The earliest Sumerian writings were in the form of ledgers holding materials that is kept in the temples and records of livestock owned by the temples. Thus, cuneiform is the Sumerian writing. It is a wedge-shaped form by pressing a stylus against a damp clay tablet. Plus, in making contracts or other vital documents, the tablet was fired to make a virtually permanent record. Also, the hieroglyphics or the Egyptian writing appeared on the same time also class. However, hieroglyphics was written on rolls woven from papyrus reeds from which the word paper derives. These are the examples of writings invented years ago. Cities and states in Mesoamerica. Are you still with me, class? Do you still understand our lesson? Okay, so the third topic that I am going to explain is the cities and states in Mesoamerica. So the cities and states that came out in Mexico and Central America was later after the developments in Near East. It was known that the appearance of civilization in Mesoamerica is also the emergence of agriculture in the New World, and also the loss of large animals like the cattle and horses that could be mastered. Any questions, class? Does anyone have a question? Okay, I guess no one. Now, we are going to talk about the three areas in this period of Mesoamerica. So the first one is the formative era. This period is around the area of Teotihuacan. Then from 1000 BC to 300 BC, this period is identified as a small scattered farming villages on the south area of Teotihuacan Valley. It was mentioned that there were only few hundred people in every villages, and these groups were mostly politically autonomous. Later on, there are some people who moved to the valley floor to use the irrigation. Then, around 300 BC and 200 BC, the elite centers went in the valley. Hence, those who are considered as elite, they were buried with ornaments, carved bowls, headdresses, and some foods with them.
Another image from this era.
So the next one, class, is the city and state of Teotihuacan. At first, about 150 years before the time of Christ, only few people live in different villages in the Teotihuacan Valley. Then, as time passed by, the number of population is continually growing. We can notice in the layout of the city of Teotihuacan, the people exerted effort on planning previously their area. It is assumed that they are unified by a centralized state. The streets, buildings, residential structures, streets, and river were followed by a grid pattern. Hence, this period became known for its great architectural design. The Pyramid of the Moon and the Pyramid of the Sun were also leading the area. Afterwards, they followed a standard pattern in building residential structures like apartments that can cater 100 people. Hence, this era had more area than the Imperial of Rome. Therefore, the influence of Teotihuacan architecture made a great impact in Mesoamerica.
Another image from this era.
Do you still understand, class? Do you still get it? Okay, so the last one in Mesoamerica is the city of Monte Alban. It was found out that around 500 BC in southern Mexico, where Monte Alban is located, it was said that an evidence of political unity was found here. Monte Alban had a significant difference from the Teotihuacan. Why? It is due to the lack of resources that the people in Teotihuacan had. Since Monte Alban is located at the top of the mountain, it doesn't have a good soil and an indefinite supply of water that people could use in irrigation. Hence, they had a hard time to find water for drinking and no evidence of trading system. Therefore, this period is one of the places that is non-productive because of the lack of resources, class.
Another image from this era.
Lastly, the Mayan is one of the civilizations in Mesoamerica that had many population and relying to agriculture, and they have improved their system of writing. Okay, class, we are almost done. So this is the last topic that I am going to tackle today. The first cities and states in other areas. So Aksum became a center of trade and commerce between Africa and the Arabian Peninsula. Then Ghana is the major source of gold for the Mediterranean world. Then Shang Dynasty, it is the earliest state society in the Far East. It is also a specialized society, religious and economic growth, administrative unification, and a good style of art. Then, in South America, they had independent cities, plazas, and large pyramids. While in North America, religious and crafts specialists and had social stratification. Alright, everyone, that's the end of our discussion. We are done now exploring some of the topics in this chapter. Good job for listening intently. Any further questions, class? Just raise your hand if you have a question. Okay? Okay, no one. So class, I hope you learned a lot of things today. Alright, to sum up what we tackled today, class, here are the key points that you need to remember. We discussed the origins of citizen states in southern Iraq, Mesoamerica, and in other areas. Hence, we became aware of their developments of their irrigations, great architectural designs, even their craft specialization, food production, trade system, improvements of household structures, temples, and etc. Moreover, every area has their own differences and similarities among each other. Lastly, there are a lot of people up until now who are benefiting from their works. Okay? Good job, class, for participating or listening to my class discussion. So now, as your evaluation, you need to find a partner and converse about the information that you understand in our discussion today. You will be given 5 minutes, and after that, you need to present it in the class for 2 minutes. Understood? Okay. Okay, class, so before I dismiss all of you, you need to take a screenshot of this one. This is an assignment. You need to make a reflection and create a PowerPoint presentation on what are the developments in your barangays that made a great impact to your area. So you need to list down 3 projects and answer it concisely. Also, you can include pictures and make your own template. You have 2 days to complete the said activity and send it through the Gmail. Okay? Understood? Alright. Thank you so much for listening, my dear students. I had a great time teaching all of you. I hope you have a great day ahead. If you have any worries or questions, just send me a direct message and I will try my best to reply immediately. Again, thank you so much. You may now leave the meeting.